So, the 1.2 characters, Zhezhi and Xiangli Yao, were recently announced, and along with that, we got a little bit of info to go along with it for what their role on the team is going to be. So, with that little bit of information, I'm gonna go out on a limb and speculate on the bigger details within their kits. First of all, I would like to talk about Xiangli Yao. He was the second to be announced, but later he was leaked to be free, which means more people are going to be interested in him. Because they had to specifically say he was free, I think he is going to be a 5-star. This is not a situation where it's just free from an event, because based on the current patches, Wuthering Waves has not given out free characters or weapons in events like Genshin does. So, it's probably closer to what Dr. Ratio was in Honkai Star Rail. If he was a 4-star character, the leakers probably would have just said that instead. He was also leaked to be an Electro DPS, as well as using the Gauntlet's weapon type. This may not give us a lot to work with, but we can start small. For example, what archetype is he going to be? There's 4 basic archetypes I can see now. Basic attacks, heavy attacks, resonance skill, and resonance liberation. Let's start with the basic attacks. This is not the most likely archetype, but it is one of the more likely ones. But why do I think that? If we look at the previous limited DPS characters, we have 2 skill-based ones, being Xiangli and Jinshi, and then 1 heavy attack-based one, being Jian. This leaves us with basic attack and liberation. Both of these are currently taken by standard banner units, who Kuro would probably want to power creep at some point. Encore is the basic attack character, but she is getting Xiangli very soon, who would be a very big upgrade within her teams, because this will let them dual carry together. And because Xiangli's outro skill does buff fusion damage bonus, I don't think she is going to be that good with Xiangli Yao. So, Encore's probably not going to be power crept here. He could still be a basic attack DPS though, and probably more of a hyper carrier like Ling Yang, which would make him be a Sanhua user. He can also be resonance skill damage based, but I think this would be insane, and I do not expect this at all. Jinshi and Xiangli are both primarily resonance skill, so if Xiangli Yao would be joining them, that's 3 in a row. That is not happening. As for heavy attacks, this has some more reason to be considered. Jian was at the start of 1.0, so he's less recent, even if by just a little bit. Most Forte circuits are also used with a heavy attack, which means that almost every unit does use heavy attacks at some point in their kit. But because Jian exists, I don't think it's super likely. This leaves us with resonance liberation damage. And, well, this would just entirely power creep Colcharo. He's already not the greatest character out there, so this may be the direction that Kuro wants to go. An Electro DPS that uses liberation damage would be absolutely ridiculous with Yinlin as well. This is because Yinlin's outro skill gives Electro damage and ult damage deepen, which, to remind you, is exactly what I'm proposing he is going to be. And because this outro skill would be so stupidly good, you probably won't be swap canceling with him if this is the case. The reason Colcharo is able to swap cancel is because his own damage is not high enough, so swap canceling is worth losing the outro skill buff just so Yinlin can do more damage. And because Xiangli Yao is limited, he is most likely going to be way stronger than Colcharo damage-wise. There's also the Electro set. It has 2 stacks of 15% Electro damage bonus on the 5-piece if you use your skill or your heavy attack. Because of this, I foresee his intro skill giving him half of his Forte gauge, and his skill giving him the rest. Then I see him heavy attacking to enhance his ult in some way, and then his ultimate consumes the rest of the Forte gauge. This means that when he does ult, he would have both of the stacks of the Electro set. But because he is in fact free, it's probably not going to be all sunshine and rainbows. I foresee him needing his signature or his S1 even more heavily than the other limited 5-star units. While most Wuthering Waves characters heavily rely on their signature weapon, Xiangli Yao may have it especially bad. And one easy way for Kuro Games to make him rely on the signature is to make him HP or defense scaling. The standard 5-star gauntlets have an attack percent substat, so this would make it worse on an HP or defense scaler. If he scales on defense, he would still have the Amity Accord 4-star, And no matter what he scales on, Stonered would still be an option, assuming he does mainly liberation damage. But the standard 5-star would be completely out of the question. Both of these 4-star also buff liberation damage, so he still wouldn't be completely out of options. Now to take a look at Zhezhi. I prefer her design, but what about her kit? In the leaks it said that she was going to be a Glacio character, as well as being a new Jinshi teammate. This can go two ways. Either she replaces Verena or she replaces Yinlin. I find Yinlin to be more likely, because if she replaced Verena, they would have said she was better in every team. But because they didn't, it makes me think she is going to be specifically tailored towards Jinshi. So, what's wrong with Yinlin that Zhezhi could do better? Yinlin's outro is kinda bad with Jinshi. It buffs 20% electro damage deepen and 25% liberation damage deepen. The liberation damage is good, but Jinshi would heavily prefer skill. This means that first of all, Zhezhi should buff skill damage on her outro. This would be niche enough to be called a Jinshi support, while still being a significant upgrade over Yinlin. And because the hybrid characters like Yinlin and Sanhua always have a more tailored outro skill, I don't think this would be too niche. Yinlin also takes quite a long time to apply her punishment mark. It's at the end of her rotation, which means there's less time for it to stack Jinshi's forte gauge. Having the coordinate attack start earlier would mean more overall stacking. This makes me think Zhezhi's source of coordinate attacks is more easily accessible. If it's on her skill, it makes her usable in a similar way as Yanwu, where you can just easily swap off. This would make her good in speedrunning as well, as opposed to Yinlin. For further elaboration, watch my Yanwu video here. Obviously, to be a Jinshi teammate, she would need coordinate attacks. This is because Jinshi's forte stacks extra fats with coordinate attacks, which buffs up her nuclear skill damage. But because Zhezhi is Glacio, I have to look at the Glacio set. It is going to buff Glacio damage bonus when using basic or heavy attacks, which makes me think that this is how she is going to stack up her Concerto meter. Maybe she has an enhanced mode that enhances her basic attacks and heavy attacks to stack up Concerto, perhaps accessed through her forte circuit. Obviously her damage will matter if she is a coordinated attack character, or she could replace Verena. This would be a bit stranger, but it can still work. The important part is to have a stronger outro skill while still having a fast rotation, because these are the key things that Verena has that make her so good. Her outro skill would probably buff skill damage deepen by 20 to 25% for the entire team, buffing both Yinlin and Jinshi. She would also need to heal to use the 5-piece rejuvenation set. The coordinated attack would also have to be a lot longer than 12 seconds, so Jinshi can get more stacks than if she were to use Verena. This is the best way that I can see her being a specific Jinshi teammate rather than just being a universal character. But should she be niche? I don't think so. If she is going to be our first real look at a limited 5-star Verena replacement, she should not be a niche character. This is because Verena is a 5-star standard banner character, which means that compared to a limited 5-star character, she should not be as good. I would prefer it if she was a Yinlin replacement though, because this also just makes her a universal skill damage buffer, and that would be a very big help on all the DPS characters that use primarily skill damage. Jinshi is of course the main one, but think about the other ones, Xiangli and Xixia mainly. Because basic attack characters have Sanhua, heavy attack characters have Mortefi, and then skill damage characters are stuck with Taochi, who is the worst character in the game. So having someone who buffs skill damage on their outro would be a very big help towards these characters. But this is just my speculation. What would you guys like to see out of Xiangli Yao and Zhezhi? I hope I've been clear with my reasoning as to why I think what I do, and I would love to hear your concepts in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, join my Discord and follow me on Twitter to hear more of my ramblings and yap sessions. Also, be sure to like and subscribe to stay in the loop. That'll be all from me. Peace!